make it an assignment on the syllabus. That's really what I want to do, is force you guys to do evaluation. My favorite thing. It's better than it used to be. We used to have to get somebody else to come in the classroom. This was before we were doing online stuff and things like that. They would have to come in the classroom, you have to leave your room. And kids would take forever. Evaluations are opening up, that's what they're telling us.
What is that?
It's, in other words, you get to go in and evaluate your classes, your instructors, is what you're doing.
Because I think I had saw the email that I got.
Well, and what it is I will show you guys where to find it, okay? I gotta open up some documents here. Hold on, let's go into OneDrive. Fall 2021. Okay. Okay, there's one. There's what? One. That's not the one I want. Oh, I had that one. Awesome. That's so funny. That's hilarious. Quoting in your research paper. Why can't I find it? What did I send to the schools? That's even better. Did I send them the wrong thing? Oh, crud, I sent them the wrong thing. I sent them something different from than what I gave you guys. Okay. If I print something and you want to run and go get it for me, Zach? Okay, I appreciate it. Let's see. I don't want 120. Okay, we're going to print more settings. We'll print. No, I don't want to print it on that computer either. Oh my goodness. Print on both sides. Okay. It's going to take a little while. It's 3 pages. Crud. That's what I get for not checking. How did I? Okay.
Thursday and Friday was pretty good till about 5 o'clock. And then
Oh, good morning. How's it going, Crosbyton?
Here comes Mike's actually on. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. Abernathy's not there today. They have the day off. So we aren't going to be seeing them. And let's see here. She's not going to come. She hasn't been in how many weeks now? I'm getting set to drop her, so. Good morning, Claire. Good morning. Okay. Or, Megan, do you want to run and go grab those for me? He's typing something really quick. Do you remember where it's at? You go down the hallway, you'll see a short hallway, and then you turn to the right, and it's down there at the copy machine. There should be a stack of them. It's like 60 pages total. No, it won't be that much, it'll be 40. Just 40 pages, so. I sent something different, so. I'm waiting for some documents to get in here to give to them. I sent you guys a different page than I copied for my students here, so I've got to get them the same document as you guys. Don't ask me what I was thinking, but apparently not the right thing, okay? So, just as a heads up, I finished all the compare and contrast, so you should be getting them back at Crosbyton and Morton. I just sent them this morning. I've started on the summaries. I'm about halfway through my first section. I will be starting on this section next, so I anticipate starting to grade some tonight. They go that fast, but one of the things I need to point out that I saw on summaries is that we were a little confused about how to handle the citation. particularly if we were in the EBSCO one. So I'm gonna do a quick review on how to find the, how to get the MLA citation in EBSCO, okay? So, let me get in the library before I do that. Because there's nothing more boring than watching me click on things, I'm sure. But this is one of those quirky ones, and I mean, I saw so many people give me the very first citation from EBSCO, which is the Brazilian National Standards, which is not MLA. So we're gonna avoid that. So here I am in the databases, just gonna scroll down here, and I'm not looking at opposing viewpoints. Let me make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna do academic search complete, which is EBSCO. And so, I'm just typing in death penalty, and what happened was I had several students on the summary who I had no clue. I actually went and found their articles in EBSCO, because that's not what I saw when they downloaded it. Okay, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna look at the very first one, which is the execution of Lismon. Okay, so when you click on it, you don't actually see the article. When you're in it, it just gives you a summary. That's not something you can quote. If you want the full thing, you have to go to PDF full text over here. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. And so when you're in EBSCO, you need to get the citation, and I'll hand those out in just a second, okay? That saved me a little bit of walking in dead air there. So on the right-hand side are tools, and you've got add to folder, email, save, cite. You have to click on cite. And there we go. And so it brings up this screen. And the screen, I'm gonna get rid of that, is citation format. So you can't just go with the first one, okay? You have to actually scroll down, and wouldn't you know, I picked an article that doesn't really have one. Okay, let me find a different article. That's bad. Wrong thing to show you. I'm not sure what was going on with that particular article, but something strange. No results were found. Okay. Death penalty, and, okay. Let me hit search again. There were 6,400 articles. Why can't I come up with one? Come on. All right, we'll go down to, here's one here. Hopefully, that's only 71 pages. Here, we'll do this one about Missouri. That's a little bit more realistic. That's the other thing you need to be careful when you're researching for the argumentative essay. You do need to find some stuff specific to the United States. If all of your evidence is for Europe or Asia, how applicable is that going to be to the U.S.? That's one of the things to think about. So here we've got this article, and there's the abstract. So if I want to look at the full article, I hit PDF full text. Otherwise, I hit cite. And now we're going to see, it comes up, citation format. You have to scroll down until you see MLA 8th edition. I'm going to copy this really quickly. I'm going to open a Word here. I don't have any Word documents up. It's crazy. I never have. There's Word. I'm just going to copy it in there so you can see. So there's the citation. It's not formatted correctly. You'll have to go back and do that. But I'm going to go back in, and if you just take the one that's first up there and do it, and that's the one you use, they're very different. The top one's MLA. This one is the Brazilian National. They're not the same. Okay? So you've got to make sure that you have MLA, and it'll all be in English, because this one, if you go and look at it, let me blow that up a little bit. Oh, wow, once I can see that. You're going to see that's Acesso M, 8 November 2021. See, that's Portuguese. So if you have Portuguese in your citation, you're not in MLA. That's your first clue. Whereas this is all, you can tell it's all MLA. I'm just going to do this real quick, show you how quickly I can make it. Have that hanging indent. That quickly I can do it. And then I just have to put it on double spacing. And you're going to see that it's everything you need there. All right, so be careful about that. Make sure that you don't accidentally do American Brazilian, or, it's AMT, or ANT, I think is what it defaults to when you see it in there, so make sure you've got that. All right, ABNT, the Brazilian National Standards, okay. So very quickly, I need to hand out, documents to these guys, okay? That's for, you need to save for her. There's one for you. I don't know why I put that on Jessica, she hasn't been here, so. Have you seen her?
I'll say, actually, she still needs to come.
I'm gonna be welcome, because she hasn't been here. I can't really leave her in the house. So, I'll be getting rid of, that's just the easiest thing to do. And I told her I was gonna drop her, but she hasn't said anything, so. Let's look at this first one that talks about when to quote, okay? No, that's not what I want to deal with. Don't say. And of course, okay. So quotations can enliven your writing if you know when to quote and how to integrate. So in some disciplines, quotation is rarely used. In all situations, overuse should be avoided carefully. You don't want a paper that's only quotes. This is not a review of the literature. That's an actual paper that you can do in other classes. It is a research paper, but really it's just, you're just going out and finding all these different sources and having brief summaries. Okay, so according to Modern Language Association, that's MLA, quotations should merely help you illustrate or explain your ideas. They don't replace your words. So when to quote, the following criteria is there. It needs to be memorable language. You use a quotation when the author of your source turns a phrase, sentence, or passage of particularly powerful, vivid, or memorable language. Or it's so technical you can't figure out how to paraphrase it. That would be the other one. One of the summaries I graded was off of they did meta-analysis of 2 studies, and it was too much information. They got too technical in what they were trying to do the summary on, so you have to watch out for that kind of thing. I mean, the person didn't fail because they did a summary, it was a 3-page summary. It was way too much. So I said, you just need the main ideas. And the other thing I kept saying was, I saw a lot of statistics and dates and numbers, and what did I say? You don't do that in a summary. It's only the main ideas, okay? You've got to have clear and concise language. Use quotations when the language in your source is so clear and succinct, that's a fancy way of saying short, that any attempt to paraphrase would be ineffective. And they talk about authoritative language. Use quotations to add the authority of experts and prominent figures. Quotations from authoritative sources can be useful in supporting your analysis or your argument. Okay. And the language for analysis is to use quotation to highlight source passages that you will discuss and engage in rhetorical analysis where you talk about them. So the other thing you have to do is you have to figure out how to integrate quotes. You guys have a very short version of kind of what we're going to be going over in the next couple of documents, okay? So you integrate a quote into your own sentences. It makes it a better quality writing. And so when you just drop the quote in other words, when the sentence begins with quotation marks and ends with quotation marks and what's called parenthetical reference, it tells the reader where you got the information from. That's a very elementary type of way to put a quote in an essay. It's better to integrate it. And remember how the first sentence of the summary was supposed to say, in the article, such and such by so-and-so, the author discusses? There's an integration of a quote, isn't it? Or that's how you can do it. In the article, such and such by so-and-so, the author discusses, and then you give me the quote. That's an easy way to integrate a quote. So, do not stand quotations alone as sentences. Provide signal phrases which include the author's name and a signal verb. MLA style uses present tense signal verbs, in-text citations, and full source listings on the works cited list at papers in. So you can see Friedman states, let me make this a little bit bigger. Friedman states, Bittman is hardly alone in his reflexive dismissals. I have no idea what the topic of that paper was, but that's an interesting quote. And 534, just in case you're curious, Friedman is the author of the article or the book that this information was found in. Okay, that's the author. Bittman is somebody that Friedman writes about within his work, okay? And 534 is the page number on which it appears. Now, you don't see P in front of it, do you? You don't have, in MLA, you don't have to tell me it's P. It's gonna be page number. That's just what it is, okay? Nothing else. So that's one way to do it. So you can vary the placement of your signal phrases and use a variety of signal verbs. Bittman is hardly alone in his reflexive dismissals. Friedman claims. That's still the same thing. There's the person that he's talking about. Here's the person that said it. And there's the page number it's on. So I, as a reader, if I wanted to duplicate this information and check it, I would go to what's called the works cited, that citation you did at the beginning of the summary, and believe it or not, I got 3 summaries yesterday that didn't have the citation on them. And I don't know how many times I said put that citation in, right? Okay. Your glasses almost look like goggles. They're big. Yeah. Okay. Here we've got another one. Denying the humanity of other people has always been a way to justify oppressing and exterminating them, argues Olson, and science has a long, sad history of contributing to these atrocities. So, the person who said it is Olson. By the way, that's my maiden name, spelled that way. And 13 is the page, or article page number it was on. Okay? So you can combine paraphrase with quotation to capture the idea and language necessary to express your point. So we're going to take that one and change it up a little bit. Science has contributed to the long sad history of atrocities justified by denying the humanity of other people. So you can see, long sad history, paraphrasing occurs around here, and also in 13. You can also include the credentials of the author you're quoting in a positive phrase. If you are someone who has had trouble hitting your page, your word limit for me, give me the credentials of the author. But that means you have to go find them. William McDonough, let's go back over here. William McDonough, Green architect and co-author of Cradle to Cradle, this should be italicized, by the way. I'll do that. States, nature operates according to a system of nutrients and metabolisms in which there is no such thing as waste. So, here's the person that wrote this. I said it's the wrong word to use. He wrote it, okay? And we find out he's a green architect and he's written a book about it. And he tells us this, that when nature does it, there's no waste. To alter a quotation to clarify or to fit the grammar of your sentence, indicate any changes by placing the altered language in brackets. Be careful not to alter the original meaning. And I'll tell you what they're doing here. Furthermore, Poland argues that to escape the Western diet, we must simply depart the realms it rules: the supermarket, the convenience store, and the fast food outlet. Okay. Can you see? Hold on. I'm going to make this a lot bigger so that you can see what's going on there. Okay. There it is. Here we've got it. We must simply, in the original article, the author did not have those words in there. Does that make sense? And because you don't want you in the paper, in other words, Poland is giving you what to do. Poland argues that to escape the Western diet, you is implied, depart the realms it rules. The supermarket, in other words, the sentence didn't have a subject. So you, as the person taking the information, put in brackets, we must simply depart the realm it rules. That's all something by you. The other time you can do this is if you had to say, if for instance, the tense was incorrect, then I might say here, I might put brackets, and brackets are underneath, they're right past the P. So there's the first, no, that's the wrong one, don't use capital, sorry guys. Bracket, RUL, and then I'm going to put D, and then that. And that tells me I changed, and when I see that, actually, wrong spot, should be on the D. That the tense was changed from whatever it was to ruled to make it the correct verb tense. So you can do that. You have to be careful when you're quoting somebody else's words. If they say the quote begins with "it was discussed," it is indefinite. You need to give that whatever that it represents in yours. So that would be in brackets. And if you have a situation where you've got something you're not sure if you need to bracket it, just send me the sentence and I'll help you with it. I need to see the full sentence though. Okay. All right, so again, you've got Poland as the author, 158 is the page number. To shorten the original quotation, use an ellipsis, 3 periods with a space between each. Poland states, American gas stations now make more money selling food, than gasoline. That's true, isn't it? If you stop and think about it. I mean, that's why we have Stripes, 7-Eleven, Toot and Totem, Allsup's. They sell all this other stuff besides gas. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm so old that when we used to get our gas, you had gas station attendants, and they came out, filled your car up, and cleaned your windshield. It was kind of nice. And the gas was only 25 cents a gallon when I was a kid. That's not fair, is it? Okay, to quote someone quoted in your source, include the phrase quoted in the parenthetical citation. The best practice is to search for the original source quoted by your source if available. Gladys Block, Berkeley professor and epidemiologist, says, I don't believe anything I read in nutritional epidemiology anymore. Quoted in Poland 78. So if they're quoting someone else in their article, that's all you've got to put is quoted in Poland 78. And that tells me what source I can find that quote in. I'm suggesting that you do it that way. If they're quoting someone else, you do it this way. Don't try to find that original source. That's a lot more work than I really want you to put into this. If you're writing something for an upper level college class, go find the original source. But in freshman college English, don't worry about it. Just go quote it in. If the quotation runs more than 4 lines in your typed text, indent the quotation 1 inch from the left margin, omit quotation marks, and place the passage ending period before the in-text citation. Okay, I'm going to have to take this back down to the correct size, because you won't be able to see this. Well, I guess I still haven't got it. All right. Hamby describes King's focus and strategy during the final 2 years of his life. The Poor People's Campaign underscored a shift. Here's the quote right here. So that's one of the things that I've lost was the offset. Do you see an offset on yours where the left-hand margin is indented? No, it's not there. Apparently I lost it when I did it. So it actually should look like this. Where you see the colon is where the quote begins. And it should be here. Let's see if I can do it this way. Yeah, there we go. That's how it should look. It should be double-spaced. But please notice, Hamby describes King's focus and strategy. You've got the Poor People's Campaign. So this is all directly quoted. Can you see the H right in the middle that has the brackets around it? My guess is that would have been lowercase, or that it was uppercase, so they're saying it shouldn't be. But when you have an offset quote, period, and then you put the page numbers outside of it. Hopefully you're not quoting more than 4 lines. I'm just going to tell you. Make a note, don't quote more than 4 lines. Keep your quotes short, okay? Punctuation. Introduce the quotation with a comma, unless the word that follows the signal verb, no comma. Use a colon if the language preceding forms a complete sentence. Poland urges, avoid food products that make health claims. Poland reports that Americans are increasingly eating in solitude. Poland proposes developing a strategy for navigating the supermarket. If you keep to the edges of the store, you'll be that much more likely to wind up with real food in your shopping cart, okay? So this is from the University of Arkansas, all right? So that's the first one. So that gives you some, and I'm sorry about the error in there. So now we're going to look at the one that's got, it's the PDF. It says integrated in quotations MLA. It's a little bit more concise. And it says the same thing. A quotation should be effectively integrated into your paragraph by setting it up and interpreting it for your reader. So what that means is, if you're setting it up and interpreting it, you set it up, you give the quote, and then you tell the reader what the quote means. So don't ever let the quote in the paragraph. Always always have something after it that's your words. Okay? So you use there are 3 ways to do it. Use an introductory phrase separated from the quotation with a comma. As Rodriguez argues, the American conversation about race has always been a black and white conversation. The American conversation about race has always been a black and white conversation, claims Rodriguez. So there's 2 ways. You can put the author's name early, or you can put it late. You can introduce the quotation with the sentence that sets it up by using a colon. Rodriguez uses his own observations of neighborhoods in California to demonstrate that Cultural assimilation happens naturally when people live in close proximity. Culture is fluid. So we got an ellipsis. You breathe it, you eat it, you can't help hearing it. And then you can do, splice the quotation into the flow of your own sentence. Rodriguez thinks the U.S. should adopt the Mexican model of a mestizaje. I can't say it. Anybody want to help me? How do you say that? M-E-S-T-I-Z-A-J-E? I'm not going to mispronounce it. So whatever that word is, society, which means 407. I'm not sure about that. When the girl calls herself a Blaxican, Rodriguez argues that by reinventing language, she's reinventing America. At a guess, this was actually a sentence on its own. By reinventing language, she is reinventing America. You wouldn't use a capital B in the middle of the sentence, so that's why it's in brackets and a little b. Okay, so then we've got punctuation and quotations. Yay! No matter if your quotation appears at the beginning, middle, or end of the sentence, the citation goes at the end. Underline that. Let me grab mine. In other words, the citation is what we call parenthetical reference, because it's in parentheses, which is P-A-R-E-F, parenthetical reference, okay? It's citation, hold on. The citation goes at the end. Parenthetical reference. If you're lucky enough to have an English teacher or anybody who's worked at the college level, they should know about this. And I'm going to put the word always here. If the author is not indicated, include the author's name in the citation. So, if you give the author's name at any point within your sentence, you don't have to put it in the parenthetical reference. If you don't put it in there, you have to give the author's last name and the page number. So, I, as the reader, will look and make sure that that source is on your works cited. So, one of the issues that we run into is when you quote somebody else, when you're quoting someone else in the article that that author of the article is quoting, a lot of times you'll put that author's name in parentheses and it doesn't show up on the works cited. So you always have to make sure that it's the author of the article who wrote it, who wrote the article that you're quoting from. I don't know why I did that. I have no clue what that is. Okay. Now, the other thing that happens, what happens if you get an article that doesn't have an author? You give enough of the title, so because if you don't have an author, the second thing on a works cited citation, if you'll remember on your summaries, was the title of the article. So you give enough of that title of the article that the reader can match that up, can find it on the back page. And I know I told people not to reference Gale, the database. I got somebody in their summary who said, according to Gale, and you can't. It's either the article or the author's name. You can't reference the database. The database contains millions of articles, so that's no help. You have to use the article title. You have to use the author if you have it, or say the article. Okay. So if the exclamation point or question are part of your sentence, put them outside the quotation, like this. That doesn't mean in parentheses. That's just giving you an example. Put them inside the quotation as they are part of the quotation. So if you're asking a question, and please don't ask questions on the argumentative essay. I don't like questions. That's about the 35th time I've said that I don't like questions. So if you use questions in your paper, you're not paying attention, okay? So if it's part of the quotation, it goes inside the quotation marks. I don't care if your quote has a question in it. That doesn't bother me. It's if you use a question to try to move your paper, okay? So this will be the one that will be more applicable to you guys. Use ellipsis if you're cutting material from the middle of a quotation, and they give you number 2 up here. They show it to you. That's the ellipsis. Okay. When you eliminate, and sometimes it's good if you don't need all those words, get rid of them. And use brackets to show changes you made to a quotation for it to be to fit grammatically into the sentence, and that's number 3. So they give you bulleted points on this. So that's a pretty concise one. I have another one. I promise I'll find this document and send this one to my facilitators too, okay? I'm trying to figure out where I printed from you guys. I must have printed from somewhere else. You got one other document, and this is important because this is due, for the high schools, this is due next Friday. It is the outline, let's see, going to argumentative. The argument essay rough outline. But as rough as this is, it actually looks like it's gonna be a complete draft of a paper, isn't it? As much as it's calling for on there. This is 25 points, this is not extra credit, this is got to be done. Okay, so here we've got it. This is the argument essay outline. Essay title, capitalize all major words, because we forget to do that. The death penalty should be abolished. The, T, D, P, S, A. All of the words in there. The only time you don't capitalize the word is if it's a little word. So if I were going to use the or of or an or and in the middle of a title, those would not be capitalized, but the at the beginning is. So you've got to fill in the introduction, the first paragraph of the essay. Opening, give an interview of the issue topic, briefly explain both sides, and then state the thesis, plus the three reasons that you're going to give. I created a new word, thesis. I want a thesis, not a thesis, but a thesis. Okay? And that's why we've had all those. I asked you for what your argument of essay was going to be on, what were your reasons going to be, and then I asked you to do it again for me for extra credit. Hopefully you're refining that. I'm not going to give you any more extra credit for giving me a thesis and the points. Then it's got the first body paragraph, the second paragraph of the essay. This is pretty obvious. The topic sentence for reason one. So let's just say, guess what I'm going to do? Probably won't let me write on it. Okay. I'm going to come down here and the thesis and go, the death penalty should be abolished because it is not administered effectively, or not effectively, equitably. That means it's not, okay, there's my first point. My second point is it costs too much money and it is not a deterrent. Well, let's see if it's got 2 R's. See, I don't know. I spelled it right. Okay, so there's the period. So there's the 3 reasons. So now, just to give you an idea, that I'm going to color that one green, blue, and this document is available in the class. I say that. It should be there. Okay? So first body paragraph, topic sentence for 1. It is not administered equitably. I'm just cheating. I would go back and then go. It's not administered equitably. Supporting idea. I don't have the information on that. But I would maybe fill in, which means you have to have done some research. For you to be able to do this document, you have to have some evidence, right? So, minorities receive it. This is due a week from, it's due for the high schools Friday. You guys have school on Monday, the 22nd. Yeah, good day, it's my birthday. I will be here. If you guys bring it in, I will look over yours and let you know if you're on the right track. You will get yours right back. They're not going to be, none of them have school the week of Thanksgiving. College, you go Monday and Tuesday. And actually, Tech used to go half a day on Wednesdays. I don't know if they still do or not.
So we don't come Wednesday?
No, we only have Monday and Tuesday classes.
So we come Monday and Tuesday, and then when do we come back?
Then you come back the next Monday. You get Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off for the week of Thanksgiving, okay? Well, she might have Tuesday classes, right? Yeah. So, all right, the death penalty is not administered, support, want to receive it more. Details, don't have them, but that's where you start filling in. Your detail just might be, 80% of all people on death row are, you know, you've got a quote or something from in there. You give me that. But you're gonna see that as you fill this out, that you're going to have a good, solid draft of your paper, aren't you? So topic for 2 was, let's see, it costs too much money. So you're welcome to, you can, if, when you sit down to do this, I know you're gonna love it because it gives you something to handwrite it on, doesn't it? But you're gonna have to, when you go to type it, to turn it in, you can just delete those lines and just fill it in with the information after it. The lines are to help you out here. It costs too much money. The cost of all of the appeals is $10 million, oh, that's not million, $1 million. Okay, that's just me trying to put something in there. Third body paragraph goes back to the last one, which is, it is not a deterrent. And you don't have to use the death penalty. You cannot say capital punishment. There, you know, you can do that. There are plenty of ways to change things around. It's not a deterrent. No one stops killing because they are, she is worried about the DP. See, I'm just putting stuff in. And then fourth body paragraph, this is the counter argument. Okay, so you've got to also give me information on that. Okay, so counter argument is I have a hard time coming up with counter arguments. So many people believe that the death penalty does deter crime. Counter argument 1. Statistics, you got to have evidence, okay? So hopefully in opposing viewpoints you have found that. So this is what I'm looking for you to fill out over the course of the next week and a half. I mean, they've got 10 days or 9 days sitting in class. Because we're not, I think, for us, we're on the last page of the thing right here. We are talking about integrating quotes, talk about making sure we can set up a work site on Wednesday, and we're going to review for the apostrophe quiz, which is Friday. That's the other thing that's coming up is the apostrophe quiz. Make sure you have those 2 pages. And then we're going to talk more about rebuttals. And we're going to look at misplaced modifiers and dangling modifiers. And then on next Wednesday, work on the rough outline. Well, it says submit by Wednesday, but you guys can have until Friday to get it in. I'm not going to be cranky about that. I'll probably change that date to Friday. Though football season is over, so if you're not playing playoff footballs, we're into basketball. Are there any tournaments, are there? Are there tournaments coming up in basketball, guys? Lorenzo, what? Are there? Ladies? We don't know? I would assume there's tournaments coming up. I'm sure there'll be one the weekend. Yeah, there might be one the weekend before. Okay. Hey, by the way, Crosbyton, once again, congratulations on 5th in state in marching. Awesome job. Just want to do that. Oh, what did I type in there? Okay. So then you come down. Let's go back here and finish up the last thing. If you don't have to have 2 counter arguments. You can just have 1. All right. And then you give the rebuttals, and then you rephrase your thesis. Summary of your 3 supporting points. What did you find out? Statistics show that the death penalty costs too much money. Closing, tie back to your intro or give a prediction, suggestion, quotation, or call to action. So because of, and it helps if I turn it onto the computer. Sorry. I pushed it, but it didn't happen. Okay. You rephrase the thesis, the summary of the 3 points. Do you see how if you rephrase the thesis, there's 1 sentence. If you give a summary of the essay's 3 supporting points, 1 sentence for each, that puts 4 sentences in your conclusion, and then you close it. You tie back to the intro, give a prediction, suggestion, quotation, or call to action. If you can find a really effective quote about why the death penalty should be abolished, put it in the conclusion. It also counts as a source, okay? So That's what you're gonna do, and that looks like a lot of work, doesn't it? But, that way you've got a draft, because when we come back from Thanksgiving, we're gonna go review, quoting, and paraphrasing. You have a draft due on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and we'll do peer revision, and the final essay is due on Monday, December 6th, because I have to grade all 90, or maybe 88 by then, after I start dropping some people from SPC, okay? I have to grade all those in that week, because you have to have graded essays back to be able to do part of the final. So, that's what's coming up. And that's really what I've got for today. So, if you're having trouble finding sources, make sure you're searching using the right terms, okay? Yeah, I'm short today. This is a good day. So if you want to sit in here and work on the outline, the argumentative outline, or if you want to go over to, if you're having trouble finding information, you can walk in that library and say, I need a librarian to help me search for my topic for a research paper. That's a good idea, isn't it? And then you can email them too. Just remember, you can always use the course messages when you're working here at SPC. You actually have an account here. You can always save your work in documents. There's a document folder. Come back up here. So if I were going to save this, I would go, I'm assuming the kids at the high schools can do the same thing. I'm going to go save as, I'm going to browse, and you're going to see over here documents. You can, and that'll throw you into the server for SPC if you're using computers here. Just put your name on it and save whatever you want to in it. But once, or if you don't want to do that, you can always just send yourself course messages. If you find documents, you can just send yourself a course message and attach the documents to that, okay? Does that make sense? All right, short day. Yeah, I'm giving you plenty of time to get this done. Kids at the high schools, you can do the same thing. If you have, because nobody wants you to use thumb drives anymore because viruses get transmitted. It's just like catching COVID with a thumb drive, right? So you can always send yourself a course message with stuff you're doing at work, or at school. You can send yourself a course message in that course message area. Go to instructor, and then you'll find course messages down there. You can send it to yourself there, and you can get home and you can open up the course message and have the documents, all right? Okay, that's where we are. I'm going to find that other article, that other thing I did. I think mine's better than theirs. Let's see.
So I have to bring you a vision of typed, or can I just leave you the paper? I mean, I could rewrite it tonight, I would have it done probably by the time
What does your handwriting look like? I'm not real big on handwriting, because you can already see what mine looks like. Mine pretty much sucks, doesn't it?
I mean, it's nothing great,
Well, the biggest problem with this is telling if you're capitalizing something.
okay, I mean, I can go over it, I just wanted to, give it to you as soon as possible, that way if.
So that you're not using time that you need to be working on argumentative, right, yeah.
Or other stuff, so
Yeah,
I have to go.
yeah. I need to be able to, the other problem is it's single space. I need, if I'm gonna make comments.
Single space, right? Oh, this is single.
Yeah, that's single space, so,
Okay, yeah.
okay. That's the issue with that.
No, I understand, I was just wanting to make sure.
I'm not big on handwriting, yeah, it's just too hard. My eyes are so, and I just put on my last set of contacts, so I've gotta get some new ones. But I can tell my eyes have changed.
I just like writing on paper because it helps me think more.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There it is, okay. I guess I thought I saved it in my new one, and I didn't.
I have a new copy by tonight.
Well, do a good job on it. Make sure, the other advantage in doing it on the computer is you get the word count. Okay? Okay.
I rewrote most of it.
Okay. I am gonna send the other one on quoting and papers to you guys, okay? To them.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
And then I sent you, and the Carson's, not Carson's, just
You submitted that? Okay, awesome. We'll take care of it. Yeah, I found the quoting paper, guys, sorry. Present quoting and papers. I will send that one.
What week were we supposed to respond to other people?
Huh? You mean we do, no,
When people, revised their stuff, what?
that was on compare and contrast.
Yeah.
That was the one that was in the discussion board. So, hold on. That would have been maybe week 7 or week 8. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, I'll see you Wednesday, Zach. Unless you come in and see me today.
We'll see.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Brenda. Gina. I'm sitting here going through the names of all of my facilitators so that I get everybody. So then I have Morton, Post, then I've got Last Buddy, Health Center, there we go, Health Center, Woman Union, New Deal. Mhm. There we go. Blackboard, there we go. Hmm. Okay. Okay. How do I help if I run the right class?
Your conference is scheduled to end in 2 minutes.